Right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about something called radians. We are used to measuring angles using a unit of measure called a degree. And we all know that in one full turn of a circle, that's 360 degrees. We watch the snowboarders in the Olympics. They're spinning and twirling multiples of these 360s. Two spins would be 720 degrees. Well, there's another way to measure angles. Just like with measuring length, we have meters, feet, miles, kilometers, yards, centimeters, all these different ways of doing it. We have these things called radians. They are based off of a circle's radius. It really counts how many times around the circle can we stretch the radius. And roughly what it looks like, if I have a circle here, it's a very bad circle, this is roughly 1 radian. A lot of times you'll see a little r written up top there as a superscript, but a lot of times you won't. So how many radians are there in a circle? Well, that's a good question. 360 degrees is equivalent to 2 pi radians. And similarly, 180 degrees is equivalent to exactly pi radians. So radians very rarely are measured exactly. A lot of times you're going to see them not given as whole numbers like 1 radian, 2 radians, 3 radians, but as a fraction involving pi, pi over 2, pi over 6, things of that nature. So let's do a couple problems and let's convert a few degree measures into radians. So how about 90 degrees? Well, if you're familiar with converting units in science class, we can use the same idea here. We want the degrees to cancel out. Our conversion factors at 180 degrees is pi radians. So our degrees will cancel. It's on the top and the bottom. 90 over 180 is 1/2. So 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians. Exactly. We could put that into the calculator, push the pi button, divide by 2, and that will get us a decimal approximation for that many radians. How about 135 degrees? To convert that to radians, we multiply by pi over 180. Pi radians is equivalent to 180 degrees. The degrees would cancel, leaving us with 135 pi over 180, and ladies and gentlemen, that reduces to 3 pi over 4, 3/4 of pi. 135 over 180 is 3/4. And again, we could put that into our calculator and get a decimal approximation. So where do we go from here? Well, let's convert the other way. Let's say I have pi over 6 radians. And I want to know how many degrees that is. Well, to make that conversion, we multiply by the reciprocal of this one. We want the radians to cancel. Pi was the number of radians. That's going to go on the bottom. 180 degrees on top. The pi's will cancel, leaving us with 180 over 6, which, ladies and gentlemen, we all know is 30 degrees. But what if I have, I don't know, 2 radians? How do I deal with that? Well, the exact same way. We're going to multiply by 180 over pi. We get 360 over pi degrees exactly. Most of the time we'd put that into a calculator, do 360 divided by the pi button, and we'd get a decimal approximation. So there we go. We can convert back and forth. To change into radians, we multiply by pi over 180. To change from radians to degrees, we multiply by 180 over pi. So, next thing to talk about. Let's talk about positive versus negative angles. Let's say I want to turn an angle of 120 degrees. Well, here's 0 degrees. This is 90 degrees. We go anti-clockwise. We go counterclockwise when we count our degrees. Here's 180. Here's 270. So 120 degrees would be to right around there. This is what we call our terminal side. This is where the angle terminates. This is a quadrant 2 angle. Let's say I want to turn an angle phi of negative 60 degrees. Well, if positive 120 is going anti-clockwise, negative 60 degrees would be clockwise, putting me into quadrant 4 with my terminal side measuring from the 0. Now let's really blow your mind. How about, let's measure an angle. Let me start over here. Let's measure angles in radians. Ooh, scary. Let's measure an angle theta equal to pi over 6. And you guys are going to get real good at dealing with these. But pi over 6, if you're not sure, we can convert that into degrees. And that ends up being 30 degrees. So pi over 6 would be something like this. And we'll do a lot more work with these radian funny things. But know that positive angles, whether they're radians or degrees in units, will go anti-clockwise. Negative angles will go clockwise. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I shall leave you for today. Look forward to the next video where we investigate this wonderful thing that helps us organize sines and cosines and all that jazz. We're going to be looking at SOHCAHTOA and the unit circle.